really do appreciate the opportunity to come before the Federal Way Chamber. Can you hear me all right? Is this mic working all right? If not, I can switch to the other one. Okay, good, thank you. I am newly the president, I guess it's almost 2 years now, of the Washington Research Council. The Washington Research Council has been around for, this is our 77th year. Most states will have kind of a research organization that will do independent, nonpartisan looks at tax and budget issues, and will do analysis on policy issues for state and local government decision makers. The neat part for me was having had a long career in working on policy development and then implementation through the legislative process, whether it be Olympia or in communities that Boeing at least had a presence in Gresham, Oregon, or Kent, Auburn, Renton, Everett, etc. To be involved with a major player, major employer, a major taxpayer, if you will, on issues that were not only important to Boeing, but important to the communities that Boeing was in. I left that after just having had way too much fun in Olympia for all those years, and took on, I'd been on the board of the Research Council for a number of years and was their chair. And as Dick Davis, who was my predecessor, left after 22 years, I thought, I need a little bit more of that 9-to-5 time with my family, and it's really time to kind of turn over a lot of the travel and everything else. 35 years, I think, in that kind of a position was just about right for me, but I didn't want to give up being involved in issue development and certainly with analysis. There are other organizations around the country that will do policy analysis, but they have a tendency to be either on the far right or on the far left of the political scales. And at least for me, it was good to go to an organization that we really kind of don't care what anyone thinks what we say, but we've got the independence to be able to say it, and we think are pretty mainstream. Yes, we're a membership-based organization with a pretty strong representation from the business community, but I've got labor members, I've got local government members, school districts, etc. So for me, it's really kind of fun to be able to take a look at an issue. For example, we're the organization that will do an analysis of either the initiatives that are on the fall ballot or referendums that may have been moved by the legislature before the voters in November. Take a hard look at it, and we get picked up by the press all the time about, well, what does the Research Council think? Here's our analysis, and it really does give an opportunity for not only our dues-paying members, but for the community at large to take a look at what we do and what we say, to at least be part of the debate on what happens. The topic for today really is to take a look at the economy in Washington State. Washington State has gone through a number of recessions, some of them a little bit more violent here than maybe other parts of the country, and others maybe not quite as hard-hitting. But this one, the one that we're in right now, it was assumed, as this was a national and then an international issue, was one that the state of Washington could avoid or would have just kind of a soft run-through with it. However, it's been deeper nationally and internationally than what I think a lot of people thought. It came on quicker, and the state of Washington has not escaped the impact of what's been going on out there. Now, I want to do something that I hope people find really interesting. It's not directly our work, but it's something that we are following on a day-to-day basis, and there's an organization that looks at this, and you can go on their website and follow it as well. But what it does is it takes a look at the current deep recession, as some people refer to it as, and the recessions of 2000 to 2002, the last one that we went through in this country and in this state. That one was particularly hard because of the impact on high tech, et cetera, which is a fundamental piece of the economy of the state of Washington. It also goes back and takes a look at the 1973-75 downturn. That was during the Carter years, and you remember there was a boycott of the Olympics. There was inflation. I'm sorry the gentleman from Heritage Bank wasn't here. I had a home mortgage somewhere around 13% from Heritage at that time, as I remember. But that's just the way it was. Money was hard to come by, and when if you had a home in the 70s, you know what it was like trying to find a mortgage, and a mortgage under 15%. The good news is that mortgages are a little financially a little easier on the pocketbook, but it may be a little harder to get as well as the hoops that you have to jump through to prove that you don't need the money is there. We also go back and take a look and make a comparison of this current recession with those other two recessions, and we go back to the 1929-1932 depression. If I can get the chart to come up, this is what it looks like. And I'll try to step out of the way. I'm always intimidated by someone that carries a gun at any of my speeches, so hopefully I'm going to do this in such a way that I'm not going to have any problem from my left, your right. The blue line is the current recession that we're in. The left line is a drop in the markets, in this case the Dow, by percent. So if you look down here at the depth of the 1929-1932 depression, it dropped 89.2% from the high to the low. If you look at the bottom line, these are the number of months of duration. Duration's important because everyone's saying, is it over? You know, well, I don't know if it's over or not, but the good news is since the bottom so far of this particular recession, it was down 56.8% from its high, and in the 15th month, it started to pop back up. And those of you that watch your 401k on a daily basis, you realize you're probably doing a little bit better than the depression you were going through mentally a couple months ago, or earlier in the year, or toward the tail end of last year. The other question that's asked is, well, when did the recession start, and are we out of it? Economists nationwide are never too sure when you've gone into a recession or a depression. You won't know that until there's at least 3 months worth of data, and as certain indicators are hit, and you look at this retroactively, then you realize, well, I guess we are in a recession. In this case, the first month started for the blue line in December of 2007. That's where most, if not all, economists recognize that there had been such a decay in economic activity that it was truly, you were truly in a recession beginning in December of 07. Now, Decembers are tough because those are your Christmas months, and for states that rely upon, or actually just about any state that relies upon a sales tax, that makes it a little tougher for your budget planners, in this case in Olympia, to plan for the next session of the legislature. If revenues are down, and usually you don't know how down they are until after the collections are in and they go through and they do all the book work, so it's usually a month or two before you really realize how bad things were. And at least for the legislature going into 2008, they weren't really sure that A, was the state of Washington in a recession, and B, how bad it was. Well, if you take a look, and this is national figures, it wasn't too good, but it was about where things were in 73, 74, and 2002 to 2002. Now, the duration of those